Good morning to all my dear students. As usual, hope you fine. So last class we completed some of the activities from the chapter The Mysterious Picture, and I hope you understand very well in that chapter, and all of you must read that chapter very carefully, and I got your answers very perfectly. Now we can go through our next chapter. That is also a very interesting chapter. Now we can move to that chapter. Okay, are you ready? Yes. So we can go to that chapter. The name of the chapter is page number 30. All of you please take that chapter. The Boy Who Drew Cats by Hasegawa Takejiro. So it's an interesting chapter. So please listen carefully. Yes, so our chapter is The Boy Who Drew Cats by Hasegawa Takejiro. So first of all we can read a small profile of our author. Hasegawa Takejiro, 1853 to 1938, was an innovative Japanese publisher specializing in books in European languages on Japanese subjects. He employed leading foreign residents as translators and noted Japanese artists as illustrators, and became a leading purveyor of export books and publications for foreign residents in Japan. So you can know more about the author from your Google or something else. Okay, so find out the author. Now we can go through the chapter. So it is very interesting chapter. Okay, so we can start. Hope you enjoyed the story, The Mysterious Picture. You came across Till, the painter in the story. In this story, you will see a boy who is a painter, who knows to draw only cats. It's a Japanese folktale. Read it and enjoy. So last chapter also, it's about a painter, that is Till Ullenspiegel. And this chapter also related to a painter, that's a boy who likes to draw. There's a speciality of that boy's drawing, that is he only knows to draw the picture of cats. That's the speciality of the painter. Now we can go through the chapter. What's the content of that chapter? Okay, yes, we can go to the first paragraph. A long time ago, in a small country village in Japan, there lived a poor farmer and his wife, who were very good people. They had a number of children and found it very hard to feed them all. The elder son was strong enough, when only 14 years old, to help his father. And the little girls learned to help their mother almost as soon as they could walk. So here is a poor family in Japan, and they lived at the countryside village. In Japan they will say village, so the poor family lived there. There is a poor farmer. The background of the family is the man is a farmer and his wife, and there are some of the children also there. They had a number of children, but they can't feed them all that children because they are very poor family. The elder son was only 14 years old. So that elder son only to help his father. And the little girls, so some of the little girls help their mother in their cooking or like that. So then in the first paragraph, a poor family, they lived in Japan, a countryside village, and number of children are there, and only the elder son, 14 years elder son, only helped to his father because the other children are below that age, so they can't help their father, and little girls are helping their mother. But the youngest child, a little boy, did not seem to be fit for hard work. So the youngest child, the youngest small boy, so he can't help his father because he is very little boy. He was very clever, cleverer than all his brothers and sisters. But there is a specialty of that boy because he is very clever, cleverer than all his other brothers and sisters. But he was quite weak and small. But physically he is weak and not strong. And people said he could never grow very big. And the other people, village side people says that he never grown very well person. So physically he is very weak and not strong. So the people always says that he never grow up. So his parents thought it would be better for him to become a priest than he became a farmer. So his parents, his father and mother decided that he can't never build a farmer. So please prepare that he become a priest. That is better choice. He can't never grow up a farmer, and that is better to become a priest. So he decided that little boy to become a priest. They took him with them to the village temple. So they decided the little boy want to become a priest, and they took the little boy to the village temple. One day, and asked the good old priest who lived there. So there is a good priest in that village temple, and the boy and their parents went to that village temple. If he could have their little boy for his acolyte and teach him all that a priest ought to know. And the father said to that priest, please consider my boy to your acolyte. Acolyte means the helping person of the father or priest. So please teach how to help you. So please consider my little boy as a acolyte. So he is very weak, so he can't work like a farmer. So I will decided that my boy become a priest. That's why I am coming here and said to this words. The old man spoke kindly to the lad. Here lad means a small boy, and asked him some hard questions. So the old man, the priest, the village temple priest asked some questions, hard questions to the boy. So clever were the answers that the priest agreed to take the little fellow into the temple as an acolyte and to educate him for the priesthood. So the village priest asked a difficult questions to the little boy, but the boy, always I said that the boy was very clever and cleverer than all his brothers and sisters. So he can very easily answer to the priest. And the priest was very impressed to the boy's answers, and he is ready to accept the boy as his acolyte. And he says that I will definitely educate him for the priesthood. So up to this paragraph we tell about that. There is a farmer and his wife, children in a village that is in Japan. So the man is a farmer and his wife and children are there in that home. And they are very poor family. They belong to very poor family, and only one of the boy can help his father. The boy ages 14 years old. So that boy only can help the father in farming. So the other sisters are helping their mother while cooking, or some likely cooking in homemade. So the youngest child, that is our boy, the character, the youngest boy, he is physically very weak and not strong also. But he is very cleverer than all his brothers and sisters. So the villager says that he never grow up because he is just like that. And the parents, his father and mother decided that his boy become a priest. And one day they went to the village temple and said to the village priest that his son want to become a priest. So please select him that your acolyte and become a priest. So the village priest, they decided to ask some questions, some difficult questions to the boy, and the boy very much impressing answers gave to the priest, and the priest also impressed very well and selected as an acolyte. Here acolyte means helping person of the priest. Okay, I hope you understand up to this. Okay, are you ready? Yes, now we can move to the next para. The boy learned quickly what the old priest taught him. So here the boy was very clever and the boy teach how to say the priest. They learned very quickly and was very obedient in most things. So he's well obedient person, and all persons tell that he is very obedient person. But he had one fault. But our boy, our character, our central character, the boy had one fault. What's that? He liked to draw cats during study hours. So the fault is he liked to draw the picture of cat while in the study time. And to draw cats even where cats ought not to have been drawn at all. So whenever he get time, he draw the picture of cat. That is the only fault of the boy. He is very obedient, very clever, but only one fault, that is to draw the picture of cat. Whenever he found himself alone, he drew cats. So while he is sitting alone a place, so he ready to draw a picture of cat. He drew them on the margins of the priest's book and on the screens of the temple and on the walls and the pillars. So not only the time of them, but also wherever he get time or place, he liked to draw the picture of cat. So wherever he drew them the margin of the priest's book. So he drew the picture of cat in the margin of the priest's book, and screen of the temple, a plain screen on the temple side, he drew the cats. Then pillars, walls, everywhere he drew the picture of cats. Several times the priest told him that was not right. So many times the village priest said to the boy that you never draw a picture of cat like this, please stop that. But he did not stop drawing cats. But our boy can't stop to draw the picture of cat. He drew them because he could not really help it. Because he liked to draw the picture of only cat, and he liked to draw that picture. So he can't stop ever and ever. He had what is called the genius of an artist. So he says himself, that is, he is a genius of artist. And just for that reason he was not quite fit to be an acolyte. A good acolyte should study books. So the priest says that there is a reason that a good priest want to read some books, but here our boy, he is only drew cats, he never read a book. So a good acolyte want to read many books, but here the boy can't read any books or like this. Only his hobby, or he liked that to draw the picture of cats. So here the boy learned quickly what the old priest taught him. So whatever the old priest said, the boy was quickly learned about that and was very obedient boy. So he was very obedient boy, but there is only one fault. What is that? He liked to draw cats during study hours. Only one fault, that is he drew the picture of cats. He liked to draw cats during study hours. So during the study hours also he drew the picture of cats. And to draw cats even where cats ought not to have been drawn at all. Whenever he found himself alone, when he sit lonely time, he drew cats from the margin of priest books and the screens of the temple, walls, pillars, everywhere he liked to draw the picture of cats. Several times the priest told him, the priest warned to the boy that you never draw the picture of cat like this. You should keep this place very clean. But he did not stop drawing cats. But our boy can't stop to draw the picture of cat. He drew them because could not really help it. He had what is called the genius of an artist, and just for that reason he was not quite fit to be an acolyte. So for only this reason the priest says that he is not able to become a good acolyte and a priesthood. So a good acolyte want to read many books, but our boy can't read that. He never liked to become that acolyte. So I hope you understand. Now shall we move to the next para? Okay. Now we can move to our next paragraph. One day, after he had drawn some very clever pictures of cats upon a paper screen. So the next day onwards he started to draw the picture of a paper screen. The old priest said to him severely. So our old priest, our little old priest the village priest says to the boy, "My boy, you must go away from this temple at once. So, as early as possible, you please go away from our place. You will never make a good priest." And he says that you will never make a good priest, but perhaps you will become a great artist. You will never become a good priest, but perhaps you will become a good artist. Now, let me give you a last piece of advice. Now, I would like to say a small advice to you. Please listen carefully that. You never forget it, and be sure you never forget my advice. What's that? Avoid large places at night. Keep to small. This is the advice of the priest. Do you get any idea about this? Do you get? Yes, there is something special in that lines. So, please underline that two lines. Avoid large places at night. Keep to small. That is the advice of the village priest. So, in this paragraph, our priest says that the priest always tell many warnings to our boy, but our boy can't accept that. He want to draw the picture of cat. He can't stop that. And finally, our village priest take a decision that at least you please go away from this temple, and you never become a good priest, but perhaps you will become a great artist. That is a chance for that. And I want to give advice to you that is very important, and be sure don't forget that advice. What's that? Avoid large places at night and keep to small. That is the advice. So, please underline that lines. Now, we can move to the next paragraph. The boy did not know what the priest mean by saying. So, while hearing these words, the boy can't understand what the priest says. Avoid large places to keep at night and to small. What's that mean? The boy can't understand anything about that, but he never asked any questions to the priest. He thought and thought, but he repeatedly thought what it is. While he was trying up his little bundle of clothes to go away, but he was ready to go away, and he take his clothes and something like that in the bundle. But he could not understand those words. But at that time also the boy repeating thought that what our priest says, that what's the meaning of that words. And he was afraid to speak to the priest anymore except to say goodbye. But he was very afraid to say something to the priest, because the priest says that you go away. That is the only words to say the priest, and he never ready to ask any words to the village priest, and only he says goodbye. That is the only word our little boy says to the priest. Up to this, all of you understand? Is there any doubt about this? You can ask me. Okay. Now we can move to the next page number 32. We can go through the next para. He left the temple very sorrowfully. So the boy was left in that village temple, and he was very sorrow. He was very sad and began to wonder what he should do. And he was thinking that what he should do. He went straight home. He felt sure his father would punish him for having been disobedient to the priest. So he thought that he wanted straight away to his home. But he thought that while he went to his home, his parents definitely punished him. That is, he became a disobedient boy. That's why the priest go away to the temple. So he never decided to go his home. He left the temple very sorrowfully and began to wonder what he should do. If he went straight home, he left sure his father would punish him for having been disobedient to the priest. So he was afraid. That's the reason he was so afraid to go home. All at once he remembered that at the next village, 12 miles away. So he decided to go the next village, that is 12 miles away from this village. He was ready to go the next village. there was a very big temple. In that village also there was a very big temple. He had heard there were several priests at that temple. So the boy heard that that temple also several priests are there. And he made up his mind to go to them and ask them to take him for their accolade. And the boy was ready to go the next village in that temple and ready to ask the priest whether they are ready to get their priest and take him for their accolade. So in this paragraph, the boy was ready to leave the village temple, and he decided that while he back to his home, the father was very much punish him. So he was afraid to go back his home, and he is ready to go the next village, that is 12 miles away from this village, and he is ready. He heard about that there is a big temple in that village and there is also some priest other, and he asked to that priest whether he is ready to take him to their accolade. That is the boy's decision. Now we can move to the next para. Now that big temple was closed up, but the boy did not know this fact. So while he reached the new village and the temple, there is a problem that the village temple was closed. The reason it had been closed up was that a goblin had frightened the priest away. So the reason was there is a goblin. What's meant by goblin? Like a ghost. So the villagers talk is there is a ghost in that temple. That's why the priests are very much afraid and they leave that place and the goblin take that position. And had taken possession of the place, and the villagers talk that the priest place taken the goblin, the ghost. Some brave warriors had afterward gone to the temple at night to kill the goblin. Some heroes, real fighters, go to the temple, try to kill the goblin, but the villagers never seen again alive. But they had never been seen alive again. But the real fact is the villagers never seen these persons alive again. Nobody had ever told these things to the boy, but the other villagers never told this story to the village boy. So he walked all the way to the village hoping to be kindly treated by the priest. But our boy, he had only one decision, that well treated to the priest in our new village temple. That is the only way. So in this paragraph, our boy came to the new village temple and he decided to reach that temple. But there is a mistake in that temple, because some priest persons says that, or other villagers says that there is a goblin in that temple, and the goblins are very much taken that place, the priest place. They are taking that position there, and the priests are very much afraid and they leave that place. But these stories never know our boy, and the villagers never told to the boy in these situations. So now we can move to the next paragraph. When he got to the village, it was already dark. So finally he reached the village, but the time is night and all the people were in bed. So the villagers are ready to sleep, the time of sleep. But he saw a big temple on a hill at the other end of the principal street. But in that village, at the top of the hill, he saw a village temple. People who tell the story say the goblin used to make that light, and while he saw a light there. But the villagers talk, there is a use a talk that is the goblins are tempt the lonely persons to reach there. That is the image of light. In order to tempt lonely travelers to ask for shelter. So the lonely travelers thought that while seeing the light, there is a shelter in that place. That is the brilliance of goblin. That is the user talk of villagers. The boy went at once to the temple. So the boy reached to the temple and knocked. So while reached the temple, he just knocked the temple. There was no sound inside, but the other side there is no sound. A real silent sound is there. He knocked and knocked again, but he knocking the door, but no response from the other side. But still nobody came. But he is very sad because nobody came outside and opened the door. But he repeatedly knocking the door. At last he pushed gently at the door. And finally, he's just pushing the door and the door was open and was quite glad to find that it had no been fastened. But while pushing the door, he was so glad, he was so happy because the door was not closed. Fastened means not closed. So he went in and saw a lamp burning. So finally he entered the room and he saw a lamp burning, but there is no persons, no priest in that temple. So up to that we can move once again. So he finally reached the temple, and in that temple there is a story, that is some goblins, some ghosts in that temple, and the villagers talk about that the priests are afraid of that goblins, and all the priests went away from that priest. There is nobody in that priest and the temple were closed up to this reason. But our boy never know about these incidents, and he ready to go there and ready to treat the village priest. And finally he reached the temple at night, but all of the villagers are ready to sleeping time, and the boy went there and he saw up to the hill there is a very big temple and he saw a light there. But villagers use a talk is the goblins tempt that light. When the light opened, the villagers, the only persons thought that there is a shelter in that. So the other person says that the goblin tempting light is that. That is the user talk of villagers. And finally our boy came to and he just reached there and knocked the door, but nobody inside the priest. That we know that, but the little boy never know about that reason. He always knocking the door, but nobody inside that home and never gained any response. So finally he pushed the door and he was so glad, he was so happy, that is the door was not closed, and he entered the room and he saw a little lamp burning there. But there is no other persons or priest in that temple. So up to this we taken this. So I hope you understand very well about this. Now 2 or 3 paragraphs more. So we can continue that. Okay. He thought some priest would be sure to come very soon, and he sat down and waited. Then he noticed that everything in the temple was grey with dust and thickly spun over with cobwebs. So he thought to himself that the priest would certainly like to have an accolade to keep the place clean. He wondered why they had all allowed everything to get so dusty. What most pleased him, however, were some big white screens good to paint cats upon. Though he was tired, he looked at once for a writing box and found one and ground some ink and began to paint cats. So while he he entered the temple, he entered that room, he saw a little lamp burning there and no priest there. So he looked around that room and he says that he thought some priest would be coming and he ready to wait. And he sat down and he just sit down, he was so tired and he just sit down and waited the priest. Then he noticed that everything in temple, he noticed all around that temple, because there is grey with dust, all things are very dust, and thickly spun over with cobweb. Cobwebs means what means spider making webs, that is cobwebs. So the all inside that temple dust and cobwebs are there. So he thought to himself that the priest would certainly like to need a accolade, and he definitely decided that there is always a dusty, not clean place there. So here the priest need an accolade. Accolade, always I said that accolade means helping person of the priest. So the village temple was inside the temple was fully dusty things. So the priest need a accolade to keep the place clean. He wondered why he had allowed everything to get so dusty. So our village boy decided to thought that why this place like this, why this place always dusty, what's the reason behind that? He just thought about that. What most pleased him, however, was some big white screens. So while he reasoning that, he see a white big screens, good to paint cats upon, and he thought that while seeing the big screens, he ready to draw cat's picture. That is the thought of the boy. Thought he was tired, but he was very tired, and found one and ground some ink and began to paint cats, and he found some inks and he ready to paint the cats. So, while he reached the temple, inside the temple he saw that temple inside is very dusty, grey, that's this very small place. But the screen of that place is very big screen and he liked to draw, and he thought that our priest need an accolade because this place are very dusty, cobwebs are there and the place must be clean and priest need a accolade. So, our priest or our boy decided that the priest came and selected as an accolade our boy, and he began to wait. And finally, he was so tired, but while he see the screen, he liked to draw the pictures of cat, and he saw some inks and there. So, he decided to draw the paint of cats. So, up to this, I hope you understand very well, and we can three paragraphs more, so that we can discuss in our next class. So, I hope you very much understand this chapter. If you had any doubt about this chapter, definitely you can ask me or WhatsApp me. So, here the name once again, the chapter name is The Boy Who Drew Cats by Hasegawa Takejiro. This is the story of a boy who drew only the picture of cat. That is the story. Okay, so I hope you understand very well. Now we can discuss this the next paragraphs in next class. Okay, thank you.